Episode 1. The series opens by introducing Price Cahill, a man who once seemed destined for golf greatness, but now finds himself working the sales floor of a modest sporting goods store in Indiana. 2 decades after his spectacular fall from grace on the professional circuit, Price is a shell of the promising athlete he once was, bitter, broke, and newly out of a job. His life has become a string of disappointments, and even his ex-wife, Amber Lynn, has little patience left for him. Drifting without purpose or pride, Price's days blur into one another until an unexpected encounter shifts everything. At a quiet local driving range, he meets Santiago "Santi" Wheeler, a 17-year-old with a naturally gifted swing but a painful past tied to the sport. Santi walked away from golf after his father abandoned the family, leaving behind not just a broken home, but also a broken connection to the game he once loved. Price, immediately struck by the kid's raw talent, sees a flicker of opportunity, not just for Santi, but for himself. He convinces the reluctant teen to train for an upcoming local tournament, hiding his desperation behind fast-talking charm and a veneer of confidence. As the episode unfolds, what begins as a self-serving pitch turns into the start of something real. By the end, their uneasy partnership shows signs of something deeper. Price beginning to care again, not just about the game, but about someone other than himself. Episode 2. Determined to get a second opinion on Santi's potential, Price reaches out to Mitz, his old friend, former caddy, and perpetual grump. Mitz, a widower with a sharp tongue and zero patience for nonsense, agrees to tag along for an evaluation round. What follows is a chaotic 18-hole test of chemistry, patience, and egos. Price, in his usual eccentric fashion, spouts off strange Zen-like golf wisdom that only half makes sense, while Santi grows increasingly frustrated by being micromanaged. Mitz, unimpressed by both of them, plays the role of reluctant referee. As tensions rise on the course, Price also begins experimenting with golf gear in an attempt to attract potential sponsors, though his efforts seem more desperate than strategic. Meanwhile, Santi's mother Elena, fiercely protective and still skeptical of Price, grows alarmed when she sees her son re-immersed in the very world that once caused him so much pain. She confronts Price head-on, challenging his motives and reminding him of the responsibility he now holds. Despite the emotional friction, the episode sprinkles in lighter moments, most notably a runaway golf cart that turns into a hilarious disaster, breaking the tension and deepening the bond between coach and player. By the end, Price's chaotic but sincere encouragement begins to click with Santi. It's far from perfect, but the trust between them starts to take root. Episode 3. With barely enough gas money and more optimism than preparation, the unlikely trio, Price, Santi, and Mitz, hit the road in Mitz's rusty, barely functional RV to attend Santi's first official tournament. The travel setup is cramped, the mood is tense, and the stakes feel impossibly high. Santi is visibly anxious, teetering on the edge of self-doubt, and it shows in his shaky warm-ups. It's not until a brief but grounding conversation with Jet, a carefree teen competitor with a mellow vibe, that Santi begins to relax and regain some mental clarity. Meanwhile, Price, watching from the sidelines, is more driven than ever, pushing Santi with intensity that borders on overbearing. In his efforts to motivate, Price unintentionally echoes some of the very behaviors that led Santi to quit the game in the first place, especially those linked to his absent father, a connection that feels jarring and uncomfortably real. Back at the RV, unexpected comic relief comes in the form of Elena and Mitz, who, despite their differences, find themselves bonding over shared mishaps, from clogged toilets to burnt toast. Their back and forth provides not only humor, but also surprising warmth. On the course, Santi doesn't win the tournament, but he does score a quiet personal victory, finishing strong, staying focused, and proving to himself that he still has what it takes. The episode ends with both Santi and Price a little more hopeful, but also more aware of the emotional tightrope they're walking. One misstep, and they risk repeating the very pass they're both trying so hard to outrun. Review Stick launches with a heartfelt, offbeat energy, combining the quirky mentorship of Ted Lasso with the underdog grit of Happy Gilmore. The series makes it clear from the start, this isn't really about golf. It's about second chances, emotional scars, and the messy way people try to help each other heal. Owen Wilson brings a worn-out charm to Bryce Cahill, infusing the character with a blend of swagger and sadness that keeps him compelling, even when he's being selfish or clueless. Peter Dager delivers a breakout performance as Santi, capturing a guarded teenager with immense talent and deeply buried hurt. The supporting cast shines as well. Mark Maron's Mitz offers comic relief laced with wisdom, and Mariana Trevino's Elena is fierce, funny, and grounded, a necessary counter to Price's chaos. Creator Jason Keller's writing balances sharp humor with quiet emotional beats. The jokes land without undercutting the heart of the story, and scenes are laced with small character-driven moments that make the relationships feel real. Directors Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Faris, of Little Miss Sunshine, give the show a polished look without sacrificing its scrappy soul. Golf course vistas contrast nicely with the gritty, cramped interiors of Mitz RV, symbolizing the dream versus the grind. Still, the show stumbles slightly in pacing. Episode 3 introduces deeper emotional parallels between Price and Santi's father with little build-up, which weakens the impact. Some dialogue leans a little too hard into cleverness, but the natural chemistry among the cast helps smooth those edges. Critics have taken note with an 83% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, based on 29 reviews. Fans online have especially praised the banter between Mitz and Elena, as well as Wilson's layered performance. If future episodes slow down enough to let the characters breathe, Stick could easily evolve into something more profound.